Hi, you might notice that today the news is in long form instead of a short video because some pieces of news can't be told in 1 minute. And this is one of those. And it involves my nephews, Sam and Casey Harris, and they are the rock band Ex-Ambassadors. You probably haven't heard of them, but your grandkids almost certainly have. They've gained widespread recognition and success in the past decade, and they do worldwide tours. They have platinum records. If you listen to one or two of their hit songs, you'd probably go, "Ooh, that sounds familiar." But today is about empathy and kindness, and the simple kindness those boys executed and made a pivotal difference in the life of someone. And that someone is a young man that lives in their hometown, Ithaca, New York, and I think he's 12 years old, maybe 13, and he has cerebral palsy. That is a brain dysfunction that has its origins in pre-birth, and it's devastating. This young man has significant muscle control problems. The only way he can really communicate is with an electronic device, and it's very difficult for him even to have conversations. He's evidently been very withdrawn and shy. He was a big fan of my nephews, and they recently came to town to do kind of a homecoming big concert. And through my sister, he was able to get into the meet and greet with the boys, and he was able to meet Sam and Casey and get his picture taken with them. And Sam and Casey do meet and greets all the time. It's not a big deal for them. This was probably special. Both Sam and Casey have the natural ability to have empathy, but also because my Casey, the keyboardist on the band, is blind. And both Sam and Casey know the tremendous burdens that come with these kinds of disabilities. So I know when they met this young man, they had empathy and kindness. It probably only took a couple of minutes, but my sister describes the experience for this young man as being a pivotal transformation. After this happened, he ran into a classmate, a young woman, when he was out with his parents, and he was able to approach her and have a conversation with her about what happened with the Ex-Ambassadors. And that was a huge thing for him, to be able to make that human connection. It all came from a very simple act of kindness and empathy. And makes me think of a lot of things. But one thing in particular, that you never know when an act of your kindness is going to have a big effect. You never know. Most of them, people will probably think, "Oh, that was nice. What a nice guy." But there are going to be moments like this young man had that are going to make a huge difference. And I can think of one that happened to me. I was 12 years old. I had a new stepmother that was extremely critical of my behavior, and to the point where she convinced my father for them to take me to a psychiatrist because she was convinced there was something very wrong with me. So they took me to see this psychiatrist. I remember vividly sitting in front of his desk. It was like a huge oak desk, and he was a big man sitting behind there. And I remember him saying, tell me why you're here. So in that moment, I decided to admit to and own every single thing I could think of that was a criticism from my mother. I gave him the worst case, and I just ticked off all the things that were disturbing her about me and my behavior. And he listened very carefully, asked a couple of questions, and he kind of leaned back, his hands kind of over his stomach, and he said, "Son, there's nothing wrong with you. You're okay. And I'm going to take you out to wait in the lobby, and I'm going to talk to your parents." I guarantee you that guy probably didn't remember that conversation the next week. But he reached me in a profound way. It was an authority figure that was telling me something very different from what I was hearing about who I was. It was like a giant elephant sitting on my back. He lifted it off. And that made such a big difference in my life that many decades later, when I decided my business career wasn't working for me, I decided, you know what? I'm going to turn my back on all this, and I'm going to go do what that man did. He's the reason I've been a practicing therapist for 20 years. That one moment of his empathy and his kindness changed my life in a profound way. And he had no idea, not a clue. If you commit yourself, we commit ourselves to as many acts of empathy and kindness. And I'm not talking big ones. I'm not saying start a nonprofit or a movement. I'm saying little tiny acts of empathy and kindness, like my nephew saying, yes, I'll meet this young man. Yes, I'll spend time with him. I'll pay attention to him for a moment in a meet and greet where you're doing it with a bunch of other people. I'm going to do that. And most of the time, I know I'm not going to make a big, huge difference in someone's life. But if I do it consistently, it will happen. And you may never know. But from deep inside me, I believe it will happen. And it doesn't matter whether you know it or not. It's this incredible, powerful thing, kindness and empathy. And it's so often easy to do. My nephews and my sister, they're lucky. They got the feedback. They found out what a big difference this act made. Who knows how many others? So anyway, it's not a minute. It's almost 9 minutes. Longest news story I've ever had. I hope you will get back to the 1 minute videos tomorrow. Take care.